EJ95, Jay, if you sing the intro of Models and Memories in an episode, I'll pay $30. Money up front.
You heard it here.
Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Hey guys, Jay here. Welcome to Models Memories Weekly. Episode 35. Models and Memories is a show about nothing, and it's filmed in front of a live studio audience. And stay tuned all the way till the end to see a montage of painted models, courtesy of the EOB Complete Community. This is a show where I talk about my painting and modeling and wargaming experiences from the week. Do 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 do. And I finish every episode with a story. Now you might think to yourself, Jay, you live stream every night, and you put out 3 YouTube videos a week. How could you possibly have more to say? Well, I do. Oh, God. This musical intro is brought to you by Patreon supporter EJ95. This week was a big week for me. I have very nearly completed 10 Plague Marines. I have completed 9, and this is like a turning point for me. These are the best thing I have ever painted. And I'm throwing in the 8 Poxwalkers too. They're also very, very good. But these models were a departure from me and my normal shtick. I would say these Repentia are probably pretty close to my normal style, if you could say. I don't usually feel like I have a style because I feel like I just do my best and whatever happens, happens. But I think my style is kind of maybe brighter colors and everything is way too even. The skin is a mid-tone, the shirt is a mid-tone, the hair is a mid-tone, the sword is a mid-tone, the purity seals are a mid-tone, the base is a mid-tone. And so if I were to pop this model into Photoshop and add a blur effect, I feel like it would all just look like a light, colorful blob. But with these Poxwalkers, I feel like I really have started to understand, or at least accidentally understand, value. And value is the difference between black and white. And with this Repentia, I feel like if the spectrum is, black on one side, white on the other, and in the middle you have, neutral colors, I think this Repentia lives from mid-tones to white. Everything is light. But these Poxwalkers, I have almost white highlights, and then I have black recess. And so I'm using the entire spectrum of value. And I think that is partially why these look so striking compared to some of the other things I paint. And I like my Repentia, but they don't have that extra oomph that these Poxwalkers have. And I really, really love them. They're not easy to paint. I start off by just slathering paint on, and then wherever the paint landed, I just bring it up from there. And it's kind of fun to do. It's very labor intensive, but boy, oh boy, does it look cool. And all together, it's like a weird green, blue, and yellow rainbow. It's super nice. It works out beautifully for these guys. And I was feeling so jazzed about how cool this is. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be my big thing. This is gonna be the best thing I've ever done. I'm gonna turn this into a whole army, and everybody is gonna be, this thing is super cool, and I'll get on Warhammer Community, and I'll get to shake the president's hand, and everything will be amazing. And so I went to Games Workshop and I bought another Poxwalker model. This is the Myphitic Blight Hauler. And that's a great three name. Games Workshop does this all the time where they can't come up with the best possible name, so they just use all of the options available. The Myphitic Blight Hauler. You know what would have been a great name? The Blight Hauler. Works perfectly. Makes sense. No, it's the Myphitic Blight Hauler. Maybe the Myphitic Hauler. The Myphitic Blight. That could be something, but just do this all the time. It's a repeat of the vampire names. The Soul Blight Grave Lord. You know what would have been a cool name? The Soul Blights. You know what else would have been a cool name? The Grave Lords. Soul Blight Grave Lord. And every time I read it, all I can think is Soul Blight Grave Blight. Soul Blight Blight Blight. It's too much. Why not have just picked one and stuck with it? You could even have you could call them the Soul Blight, and then maybe the hero is called the Grave Lord. How cool would that be? He's the Grave Lord from the Soul Blight. Instead, you have to say the whole thing, and it's ridiculous. You know what nobody forgets? Seraphon. Just a name. Works great. Take note, Games Workshop. But this model was really, really cool. The Myphetic Blight Hauler. It was an easy to build, but really, $25. It's one of the easy to build kits. It's like the last of the easy to build kits, and it's really, really good. I think every model of this size should be about $25. I think that is a very fair price. I think for Games Workshop, I think it's very reasonable, and it's super, super cool, and I can't wait to see how this translates to my Death Guard color schemes. I think it'll be lovely. It looks lovely with the Zenithal I've applied. I always love a Zenithal, and then I worry like, as soon as I start applying, because it looks lovely in black and white, and then as soon as I start applying paint, it just looks like a muddy mess until it's completely done. But I think it'll be super cool. I think I'm gonna maybe have 3 of these in my army, and that's really what I want to talk about, armies. I feel like I am on the cusp of maybe starting a new big project, maybe a few. And I want some input. So get your typity fingers ready for that comment section, because I am in love with the Sisters of Battle and I want everything. I'm in love with the Death Guard and I want everything. And for Age of Sigmar, I really, really want some Caradron Overlords. They are super, super cool. And I will probably get around to all of them, just like I'll probably get around to everything in the span of the next decade, 2 decades. But because whatever I pick is going to show up a lot in Monday videos and Wednesday videos on Models and Memories Weeklies, probably in live streams. It's going to be featured heavily on the channel. And so what is interesting to you guys? Sisters, Death Guard, Caradron Overlords, something else? Because I am super pumped. I love my Space Marines, I love my Necrons, I love my Gene Stealer cult, and my Orcs are up there somewhere. But I feel like I've maybe mined those armies dry. I still have more ideas of things to do, but I don't want to have every episode be how to paint Black Templar armor, because there's a few videos where you can see how I paint my Black Templar. And I'm so excited for the new things because it's going to give me new ideas of things I can do in videos. I mean, already these guys have led to a couple of videos, and I can totally see some more happening with the Sisters of Battle, how to do easy skin, how to paint good-looking faces, how to do, snot effects by mixing up different concoctions of materials together, how to use texture rollers. Like lots of ideas are going to come from new armies, because I'm going to face new modeling and building challenges. And I'm going to be able to figure out new tricks and techniques on how to overcome those challenges and then make them into lovely videos. Because as cool as all of this stuff is, I really do enjoy making videos. And the more these new armies should really, really help with getting the creative juices flowing and just having more things to present. Like I could probably dedicate this entire channel to painting and modeling tips using my Space Marines as the subject. And that would be fine. But I think that would probably be boring to you guys, and it'd be very boring to me, because as much fun as doing 25 different weathering videos on rhinos, it'd be fun to maybe do some of them on weird little shrimpy tanks, or on the Sisters of Battle's cathedrals, or on the Caradron Overlord's floaty boat helicopters. Like, that just sounds awesome. Just a variety. Variety is the spice of life, and it's what looks really, really good in thumbnails. But those are the 3 things I'm super excited on. The Death Guard, obviously, I am super excited because I think that this, once it is a full force, probably a fairly low model count, full force, it'll be just the most amazing thing ever. It'll be the best thing I have ever done. And the Sisters of Battle are super, super badass, and I feel like I can take all of the skills I have developed over the course of all of my different projects and put them all into the Sisters to make them super, super cool. I'm already trying out different things with the textures of their bases, and I'm starting to come up with lore for my sisters. I think they might be a detachment of Sisters of Battle who have been sent to reclaim or rebuild a library, but like a planet-wide library. So I want to get lots of books and lots of bookshelves and little things that I can scatter around and put around to make it look like when they're not fighting off invaders, they're trying to rebuild and to recapture these books. I think I might even try to figure out a way that I could print microscopic little pages and have little pages tucked here and there. I think that would be really, really cool. But that is the inkling of that idea. With the Plague Marines, I actually don't know anything about them. I guess they're just stinky, regular Marines. But I'm sure I'll come up with something that takes into account my styling. Maybe something a little underwater-y? That's kind of the vibe I get from them a little bit, of how they're painted. Really, the colors just came to me randomly, essentially. I was using these specific paints, and whatever came in the set is what I used, and that's just what happened. But in the Caradron Overlords, I think I want to try green. I feel like I never paint with green. There's a little bit of green on these, but I mean like real green, like grass green. And purple, or maybe silver. I really feel like I struggle with true metallic metals. I have a hard time not making them just kind of look flat, which is weird because I know they're naturally glossy, but when I do non-metallic metals, or I use grays to build metallics, I feel like I have a lot of control over, white highlights on the edges, darkness in the recesses. But when I paint something with true metallic metals, I feel like it's mostly just a dark metal. I don't know. I haven't been able to really capture what I want to capture with true metallic metals. But I think Caradron Overlords would be a wonderful, wonderful way to learn my way around some true metallic metals. But I'm very excited about those things, so please let me know if those things interest you at all, and if they don't, please tell me so that maybe I can try to come up with some more things I'm interested in. But I think in my head, I have some amazing plans of what I could do with these things. I think it'll be super, super cool. Also, my Fennec Blight Hauler, $25. If you want like a fun little painting project, or if you want to give, I know Games Workshop put out their Christmassy magazine thing, and in the back of the book it showed some examples of some products that you might purchase for someone, and it was obscene. They picked all of the most expensive things they sell, which is wild. 25 bones, a good meaty fist-sized tank. I think that is wonderful. Great pick. Along with that, though, Games Workshop has now made available for pre-order the Black Templars Combat Patrol. And this is kind of what I've been waiting for, because I saw that they came out with everything, and they've come out with lots of things for pre-order, and none of it has made me super want to jump on board. I didn't get the Black Templar Army box because I knew that this was coming down the road and they were going to release everything separately. But this is actually a pretty cool combat patrol. I like that there's a bunch of different Space Marine combat patrols. There's the Dark Angels, the Blood Angels, the Death Watch, and they're all a little bit samey, but it's different numbers of different kits. So even if you're a Blood Angels player, you might want to buy the Dark Angels kit just because it comes with more models you don't already own, or it comes with the models you want as opposed to the Blood Angels one. So it kind of works out for there to be lots of Space Marine combat patrols, but the Black Templar Combat Patrol is pretty dope, and this might tempt me. I guess maybe it depends on what those Christmas bundles are gonna be, but this is pretty tempting because it comes with the new Crusader squad, which looks pretty darn good. I used to have tons of Crusaders. I used to have 20 Black Templar Crusaders back in 6th edition, and they were so bad. They were Space Marines with just chainswords and bolt pistols, and it was really, they performed so badly in game that I actually took them all and converted them into Assault Marines, just so that they had jetpacks, just so that they were something. They had some value on the tabletop. So these would be great to replace those, because presumably these are acceptable in-game, as opposed to those models where literally I was handicapping myself by not bringing bolters on Space Marines. And really in 6th edition, Scouts were what you wanted to take, because 6th edition was craziness. But yeah, the Crusader squad is pretty awesome. And then it comes with one of the new Primaris tanks, which is called a Impulsor, good old Primaris names, which is good because I don't have any of the new Primaris vehicles, but I'm okay with the Impulsor. I think it looks acceptable. I don't know if it looks better than the Rhino or worse than the Rhino. It's kind of just different from the Rhino. I feel like I used to love the Rhino because I guess I bought a bunch of them. I really loved them. And over the course of time, I feel like I've come to realize that they're just rectangles. Like they're so boxy and there's not much going on to them and they're so little. I still like the rhinos, but I don't think that they're the be-all end-all. Now, if they ever touch the Land Raider, you cannot touch the Land Raider. That thing is perfect. But the new Impulsor is fine. I don't really mind it. I'm not in love with it. Maybe I'll have to try to figure out ways that I can really gothic it up. Because it doesn't feel super grimdark. And to be fair, neither does the Rhino. But I'm sure there's some things I can do to really church it up. Maybe give it some sort of little cathedrals, or maybe some burning incense, or I don't know, something to make it look a little bit more Templar-y. And then it comes with 5 Assault Intercessors, which I guess you can never have enough Intercessors. I'll probably take those and build them into a kill team because I'm a little bit over regular old Space Marines. I can make it work for the Crusaders because they're very different, but I think literally several hundred Space Marines, I don't need any more troops. I just do not. So these will probably get turned into maybe even a different chapter, like a Flesh Terrors, or it's just something that I can play with in kill team and have fun with. And then the one thing that I really, really wanted, the generic Marshal. And boy, do I love the generic Marshal. It is super cool. I've talked about it before. I love everything about it. I love the spooky little skeleton that's hanging on the back. I love his weapons. I love the simplicity of his clothing. He's not overly bedazzled and bejeweled. I just super duper love him. And I love that he's generic so that I can turn him into whatever character I come up with. I think that is super great. But I think that this Combat Patrol is pretty darn good, and I think this is a prime candidate for purchasing from your friendly local game store to get at least 15% off, because it needs to be cheaper. Because I feel like the old Star Collectings were like 90 to $100, and I feel like that was just about right. I feel like once you cross that $100 line, boy, that's a tough hill to climb over. But you do get a whole bunch of stuff, and I do appreciate that the new Combat Patrols are based on the game a little bit, whereas the old boxes, like the Space Marine Start Collecting came with like 500 points of Space Marines, and the Orc Start Collecting came with like 80 points of Orcs. It wasn't quite that extreme, but it was pretty bad, where it was like an Orc player could buy 3 Start Collectings, and that would give them maybe a little army, but the Space Marine player was pretty much ready to rock and roll. And it was kind of a similar story. You know, Demons was a pretty good pretty bad value for points, whereas like, was there ever a Grey Knight Start Collecting? I don't think there was. But yeah, some armies were pretty bad. And so now they've come up with ways to have everything be fairly even. I know the Dark Eldar Combat Patrol, that tempts me just because it comes with so many models. I mean, you get your witches and you get 2 raiders. And that's pretty cool that you open that box up and you have 2 vehicles. That is really, really cool. But yeah, I really, really like the Start Collecting. And one thing that I find really interesting is that this comes with the Black Templar upgrade sprue, the new Black Templar upgrade sprue, which is great. Black Templar were the only Space Marines to get an old Black Templar upgrade box. And I think it was a 3 or 4 sprue kit, and it came with a whole bunch of odds and ends. The Dark Angels also got something similar, but theirs was more necessary. You needed those upgrades to modify things like your Raven Wings and your Storm Talons, Storm Ships, Storm Speeders, Storm Riders, Storm Ravens, Storm Gunships, Storm Talons, Thunderhawks. You needed those kits if you were a Dark Angels player. With a Black Templar player, it was purely decorative. And I like that we got another purely decorative kit. I think it looks lovely, and I love that it comes in this box because it just makes this box a slightly bit more valuable, because it's a great box, the Black Templar upgrade, and I'm sure it's gonna cost a pretty penny outside of this box. So I think that this is a great Combat Patrol Black Templars. Super duper excited, and I will probably be picking this up one of these days. Ooh, I also love the Sword Brethren. He looks dope on a 40mm base. It's interesting. I was building a bunch of models this week that were on 25mm bases, and I started to see the magic of the small base, because big old bases are nice because they look lovely, and in terms of the model, it always bugs me when there's a lot of model stretching out past the base, because I always feel like it hinders gameplay. I have a bad habit where I will like grab a handful of models and then move them and then release them. And that is a problem when they're on bases that are too small because they start to monkey in a barrel, grab onto each other and pull each other over and get knocked around. But a problem with really humongous bases is it limits how many models you can have in an area. This is a particular problem with my Stormcast, where every single model is on a 40mm base. And even though it's only like 30 models, maybe, it really takes up tons of real estate. And it starts to look weird, like if my Stormcast are on grassy bases, but if I was fighting on an ice world, all of a sudden there's a weird grassy patch of landscape on this ice board. And it just creates a little bit of a weirdness. So I think I used to be all about bigger bases. Also, I just love basing because it's fun and I enjoy doing it. But I think I used to be all about give me the biggest base so that it covers 100% of the model. Now I think it's a little bit more important to find a happy medium between a smaller base, like the smallest acceptable sized base for a model, because I mean, eventually, things are going to be on, some things are starting to become on dinner plate size bases. I don't think that's very good. I really don't like the Triumph of St. Catherine. I do not like that model on the giant butter dish of a base. That just feels weird pushing that around the table. Because small bases, they do help you get around. In Kill Team, you play with lots of terrain and there's little tiny avenues and stuff. And it can be kind of tricky if you have a blob of guys on 32mm base even to move around. And 25s, they can really zip in between. So I don't know, I feel like I don't know if I've changed my opinion, but I think my opinions have gotten more interesting on how I feel about the sizing of bases. I think 35s are a good size. I think 32s are a good size. I think 40s maybe should be used sparingly for things that need to be on 40s. I don't know if Stormcasts need to be on 40s. But I do think this is a good example of something that can have a larger base. You know what? Or maybe it shouldn't have a larger base because this model would stand up just fine without a base at all. It's always interesting where the cutoff is between a model needs a base and a model doesn't need a base. Because all of the new Orc buggies come on bases. And they're pretty much the same size as Orc trucks, and Orc trucks do not come on bases. So it is really interesting. I would love to sit down on those design meetings where they kind of decide what are bases and how do they operate in the game. In Kill Team, some rules are you do need to specifically look at the bases. I don't remember how it works for Big 40K. I think they have some rules that are specific to bases too. But I don't know, I just think it is really interesting. In a shooting game, it probably doesn't matter as much about bases, whereas in Age of Sigmar, it probably matters a lot because it's a close combat game, and so being able to get fewer or more models into base contact and into combat is more important. So I don't know, it is an interesting thing. I would love to have like a roundtable discussion with like game designers or other people on like, what is the base of a model? What should it be? Are dynamic bases helpful, less helpful? Is it worth it to have a more interesting model? To have a giant pain in the butt base to push around? Who's the boner boy guy? Caradron, Kakaros, Kekathraktos. There's this really cool, the guy in charge of the boner boys. He has a lovely pose and model, and he's standing on a rock, and the rock is sitting on an even larger base with like 3 other dudes around it. Get rid of those, put those other guys onto 32mm bases and let the really cool big statuesque guy be on like a 50mm base. And then just move it around as a squad. I feel like that works so much better than one massive base. But I don't know, I don't really know. Bases are interesting. I was thinking about them a lot this week and I don't know if I have a solution. But 40mm, having 30 40mm bases on the table is a lot. It really takes up a lot of space. But that is what I worked on this week. I am super pumped with my Death Guard army. I can't wait to continue it. And I can paint one of these Death Guard, if I'm really putting the pedal to the metal, I can paint it in about 2 hours. Hopefully I can get that time down even further. So maybe in the background while I'm working on other projects, I'll try to get like 1 Death Guard done a week or something. We'll see. I'm sure that's not gonna happen, but I'm gonna try. But if you are as interested in seeing this army completed as I am, the best way to support us and what we do and this channel is become a member of our Patreon. Over there, you're gonna get access to some behind the scenes, voting on what models I paint live here on YouTube, a live hobby hangout every week, some terrain STLs, and more. But with that said, that is what I've been working on this week, and now it is time for the story part of this episode. This show is called Models Memories, and that is because of the memories associated with these models. And this week, I think I have a really big memory that a lot of you can probably relate to very much. Let me get these guys out of the way. This is every instructions for every model kit or thing I have ever bought. As you can see right on top, the Myphetic Blight Hauler. This is everything. And I don't necessarily know why. I thought it'd probably be good to have all these things around so I can reference them. I know the 40K models do have the rules on the back that are now horribly out of date because I bought this thing like 5 years ago. But I don't really know why I feel the need. I guess maybe because these things are so expensive, I feel like I get to have a little keepsake from every project, but it is, I can probably recycle all of these today and never notice. But I don't know what prompted me to feel the need to collect all of this stuff. But I bet I'm not alone. Let me know in the comments if you also collect every single instructions from everything. And I think it just started as, I thought it would be a good idea. Let me hang on to the instructions just in case I need to reference them, just in case I want to maybe have them in a video for a second where I flip through it. And it just led to me always doing it. Every single instructions to the point, okay, where it's getting a little ridiculous. This is the brochure that came with my welding gloves. This is the instructions for my pocket knife. I have Vallejo model paint catalogs. This is a little bit wild. This is regular old Space Marines, and I bet this instruction sheet is in here like 8 times because I've bought this kit many, many times. The second instructions for my Leatherman. This is, oh, I must have bought something on Forge World because my Forge World order was checked by MH. So that's kind of fun. In 2018, it must have been the gun platform thingies. Yeah, but this is utter ridiculousness. Another tactical Space Marine squad. I want to hunt really quick and see if I can find maybe a third tactical Space Marine squad. Grey Knights. Yep. Oh no, this is Devastators, but pretty close. I know there must be at least one more box. This is another Intercessors, so I have at least 2 Intercessors in here. I feel like this is an instruction that might actually be worth hanging on to. The Knights. This was I want to build another Knight. This thing was super, super fun. An amazing kit, and a surprisingly modular kit, except for the legs. The legs are monopose, which is a little bit annoying, but the arms are incredibly posable. I super duper remember how much fun it was to build this thing. And I remember I painted the model in one feverish 5-hour paint session from start to finish. And I only used Vallejo paints, I remember. And it worked really, really well for the reds, but I think the metallics ended up a little bit dull. But really, that's more my fault than Vallejo's. My airbrush sleeve. This isn't even instructions. Tooth and Claw. This was one of the only times I bought one of those big $200 Games Workshop coming out with a box deal thing. And the only reason I bought this was because it came with every single thing in the box I wanted to buy. I think that is the trick to buying those boxes. And you have to want every single thing in the box. It can't be like, I want most of it and I don't mind having an extra Redemptor Dreadnought. No, you should want every single thing in the box. Otherwise, they're not that good a deal. But yeah, this is just the rules and a little bit of flavor text. Cool. More Assault Intercessors and more Assault Intercessors. So I guess I only have 2 instructions for regular Space Marines, but I do have 4 instructions on how to build Assault Intercessors. So that is pretty fun. And the quick play guides for the Mongoose Publishing Starship Troopers, which is over there. You probably can't see it. So yeah. Boy, what an interesting pile of stuff. I think today I will go through this and pick like the 5 things that I might want to keep and just recycle the rest, because this is utter nonsense. This is several pounds of paper, and I do not need it. This is utterly ridiculous. But let me know, do you guys do the exact same thing? You're like, maybe one day I'll need to check what parts or do you need to put together that macro plasma incinerator, because maybe one day I'll be trying to purchase another one off of like Facebook buy sell trade, and I'll have to provide them with the necessary paperwork. Hey buddy. Vallejo catalog 2014. I'm sure all of this is still up to date. Yeah, this is utter nonsense. I need to fix this a little bit. The very in-depth and easy to follow Forge World instructions. It is quite amazing how terrible it is. I mean, it's not even drawings, it's photographs. Black and white photographs on 8.5 by 11 paper. Like, it's insanity. How is Forge World so terrible and so expensive? It is bananas. I mean, at least, Games Workshop, it's crazy expensive, but you get a really, really nice, full color for some reason, computer, Lego style, no words, instruction sheets that are perfect and easy to follow. I mean, look at that. It's absolute ridiculousness. But yeah, thank goodness this is appearing in a Models and Memories so that I can recycle all of it. And then maybe in a few years, I'll be like, oh, that's where the instructions went. I threw them away after this episode. But I betcha somebody leave a comment and give me make me feel a little bit better that you too collect the instructions for no darn good reason. This is a Star Wars The Force Awakens sticker book. I don't know how I have this. I don't know why I have this. But that's exactly what it is. It's The Force Awakens sticker book. So thank goodness I have hung on to this since good old 2017. When did Star Wars Force Awakens come out? But yeah, my recycling bin is going to be very, very full right after this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you enjoyed looking at this madness. I know I enjoy looking at it for the first time in years and years. Every time I finish a kit, I just blindly stick the instructions into this folder. So it's good now that it is gonna be empty, and maybe I'll just not do that anymore. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and now it is time for the real star of the show, this week's EOB Complete submissions.
We put out a challenge to our community to send us before and after photos of their recently finished models to be immortalized in our videos. If you want to join in the fun, you can submit a before and after photo of your painted mini to our Discord server, which you can find in the description below, or you can post it to Instagram with the hashtag EOBComplete. Without further ado, let's look at and get inspired by what the folks have finished this week.
A Nurglified Rhino by Dafydd, a Castellan Imperial Knight by Mandy, a squad of Palanite Enforcers by Spenders, a Death Rider Commander by SabazGamer110, some Blade Guard Veterans by Birthday Doragoon In 7 Days, a Custom Scout Sergeant by Yamawaki, a Blood Angels Chaplain by Who Knows, a Knight Castellan by Ground Banshee, a Prosecutor Squad by How Does King Crimson Work, a Stormcast Lord Aquiller by Silverclaw, a Tau Battlesuit by Thrawn, a Primaris Judiciar by Mr. VMAX Jr., some Orc Warbikers by Ninja Knobs, a Primaris Lamenter Intercessor by Vexy, a squad of Assault Terminators by Sea Maniac, some Epic Imperial Guard by Just Make Stuff, an Age of Sigmar Skeleton Warrior by Jagnathak, a Tau Display Board by Kembro Slice, a Space Marine Assault Intercessor by DJDP, an Orc Boss Snickrot by Painterly Git, a Tyranid Warrior by Squid Cultist 002, a Goliath Rock Grinder by Power, an Imperial Guard Malkador and Furnace by Chief Surgeon, a Chaos Cultist with Heavy Stubber by OsgoodBlackhand, a Veteran Guardsman Kill Team by Zephyre, some Space Marine Reavers by Ron, an Adeptus Mechanicus Sycoran Ruststalker by The Fungus, a Necron Satan Shard of the Nightbringer by Biggus Dicus, and a Space Marine Captain by Joe Dracos. Congratulations to everyone for a job well done. It's no small feat to get paint on minis, and you all should feel really proud. Nothing gets the hobby juices flowing like finishing a project, and we all thank you for sharing your work, motivating us and the hobby community to paint our plastic. Thanks for sharing.